The Galactic Council Chamber was one of the largest structures ever built in the known galaxy. It floated above the core of an ancient star system, a shining ring-shaped station older than most civilizations that now gathered inside it. Thousands of species had seats there, some tall and graceful, others short and armored, some with wings or scales, some that spoke with sound, while others used light or thought. But all of them shared one belief. The Council kept order in a galaxy too big and too dangerous to survive without rules. On this day, the chamber felt heavy with tension. A meeting had been called about a young species that had reached the stars only a few centuries ago, humans. At first, many had laughed when the topic appeared on the agenda. Humans were small, fragile mammals from a modest planet at the edge of the Orion Arm. They had no great fleets, no long dynasties, no deep roots in galactic trade. To many, they looked unimportant. Yet the Council insisted on the meeting, and some remembered why. The Elder Chair, a being of crystal and energy, rose above the assembly. Its voice was like music and thunder at once. Councilors, we must once again repeat the most important rule of our charter. Do not provoke humanity. They may appear fragile, but their history shows they are not like other species. They endure what others cannot. They turn weakness into strength. If challenged, they will rise higher than their enemies expect. Whispers filled the chamber. Some nodded with respect. Others rolled their eyes. From the center seat of the Valtor delegation, Chancellor Vaynar stood. The Valtor were a proud reptilian species, their empire spreading across dozens of sectors. They believed in strength, conquest, and control. To them, weakness was something to be crushed, not respected. Vaynar's golden scales glimmered under the chamber lights as he spoke. Elder Chair, he said with a deep growl, for centuries, you have spoken of these humans as if they are monsters, yet they remain weak. Their ships are smaller. Their governments are divided. Their lifespans are short. They are emotional and reckless. What proof have you that they deserve such fear? The Elder Chair's crystal form pulsed with light. The records of wars long past. Do you not recall the Silence War? When humans had only a handful of colonies, they stood against the Sylph Dominion. The Dominion burned 10 human worlds, but instead of surrendering, the humans fought until the Sylph collapsed entirely. Or the Hunger Plague. Humans not only survived, but engineered cures that saved others as well. Again and again, history proves they adapt. But Vaynar laughed, and his voice echoed like metal striking stone. Old myths. Exaggerations by weaker races who cannot understand true power. The Valtor are not afraid of fairy tales. If humans resist, we will crush them as we have crushed others. We will take their worlds, their resources, and their labor. They will kneel. Gasps rippled through the chamber. A small insectoid delegate hissed in alarm. A feathered counselor shook his head. But Vaynar did not care. He spread his arms wide, proud of his words. From the side, a counselor from the gentle Leary species spoke softly. Chancellor, do not make this mistake. We too once thought humans weak. When one of our fleets tried to enslave a human colony, not a single soldier survived. The humans fought with stones and fire until they took our ships. They are unpredictable. But the Valtor Chancellor sneered. Then your soldiers were fools. The Valtor are no fools. Our fleets are vast, our weapons unmatched. We do not fear these humans. The Elder Chair lowered its light, a gesture of sadness. Then you will face what we warned against. If you strike at them, they will not only resist, they will become stronger. And when they rise, they will never forget. But the Chancellor waved his clawed hand and sat back down, his eyes burning with ambition. Outside the chamber, the news spread quickly. The Council had once again warned against provoking humanity, and once again a powerful empire chose not to listen. Some species whispered in fear, remembering old scars. Others dismissed it as legend. And in the shadows, human ambassadors who had been listening quietly returned to their ships carrying word back to Earth. Back on Valtor Prime, fleets began to gather. Massive warships rose from shipyards gleaming with fresh armor and powerful cannons. Soldiers marched in endless drills preparing for invasion. The Valtor believed it would be simple. Humans would fight a little, but soon their small fleets and fragile colonies would collapse. The Valtor commanders saw glory, riches, and new worlds waiting for conquest. But among the stars, whispers spread like fire. Traders, explorers, and wanderers shared warnings in every port. The Valtor are going after humans. The Council told them not to. This will not end well. Even those who had never met a human grew uneasy. There was something in the way people spoke of them, something ancient, something dangerous. Not monsters, not gods, but survivors who turned war into memory and weakness into power. The council chamber emptied, but the warning still echoed. Do not provoke humanity. They are not what they seem. And yet, the Valtor fleets continued to move. Part 2. Humanity responds. The first Valtor fleet entered human space with confidence. Their warships were massive, built from black alloy, bristling with weapons and shields. Each ship carried thousands of soldiers, and together the fleet looked unstoppable. The Valtor commanders expected humans to panic the moment they saw such power. At the edge of a human colony world called New Horizon, the Valtor fleet arrived. The planet was young, its cities still half-built, its defenses weak. Valtor generals expected quick surrender. Chancellor Vaynar's orders were simple: crush resistance, enslave the people, and send a message that humanity could not defy the Valtor. But when the fleet appeared in orbit, the humans did not surrender. Instead, a small group of human ships rose to meet them. They were smaller, older, and looked fragile compared to Valtor cruisers. Many Valtor officers laughed. "Look at them," one commander said. "They bring fishing boats against warships." The battle began. The Valtor expected a slaughter, but the humans surprised them. Instead of forming neat lines, human ships scattered in unpredictable patterns. They moved fast, used asteroids as cover, and even dove into the atmosphere before climbing back into space. Valtor weapons were powerful, but they had trouble hitting such erratic targets. One human ship, badly damaged, turned its engines to full and rammed a Valtor cruiser head-on. Both ships exploded, but the cruiser's wreckage spiraled into another Valtor vessel, damaging it beyond repair. The Valtor commanders were stunned. "Madness!" a Valtor captain shouted. "They destroy themselves willingly." But to the humans it was not madness. It was survival. And survival mattered more than fear. Down on New Horizon's surface, human soldiers and civilians prepared as the Valtor landed. They knew their weapons were weaker, but they used the land itself as an ally. In forests, humans set traps. In mountains, they hid artillery in caves. On city streets, they built barricades from anything they could find. The Valtor expected civilians to run, but instead farmers, miners, and engineers stood beside soldiers. They fought with whatever they had. Rifles, explosives, even mining equipment turned into weapons. The Valtor had superior numbers, but humans fought with determination and creativity. One battle became famous across the stars. A Valtor battalion marched into a valley where humans seemed cornered. But the humans had lured them there on purpose. Hidden charges brought the cliffs down, burying half the battalion under rock. The rest were ambushed from above by humans using gliders and makeshift bombs. Not a single Valtor survived. Word spread quickly. Reports reached the council chamber. The humans were resisting far harder than expected. The Valtor were winning battles, but at terrible cost. Every time they destroyed a human ship or outpost, another appeared stronger, faster, and better prepared. A Valtor admiral sent an urgent message to the chancellor. "These humans learn. Every tactic we use works once, never twice. Every weakness we see, they fix. They are not breaking, they are adapting." But Chancellor Vaynar ignored the warnings. To admit fear was to admit weakness. He declared the war would continue until Earth itself was under Valtor control. Meanwhile, humanity was changing. At first, Earth's nations had been divided, each with its own fleets and colonies. But the invasion forced unity. Old rivalries were forgotten. Human leaders, scientists, and generals came together for survival. Fleets from different nations combined into one force, sharing technology and strategy. Human ingenuity began to show. Engineers modified old ships with new weapons. Scientists studied captured Valtor technology and learned how to counter it. Soldiers invented new battlefield tricks, using weather, terrain, and even space debris as weapons. Every loss taught them something new. In one battle near Mars, the Valtor sent a fleet to destroy human shipyards. But the humans had hidden thousands of small drones in the asteroid belt. When the Valtor ships passed through, the drones swarmed them, attaching explosives to engines and shields. Several Valtor warships were crippled before the battle even began. The galaxy began to take notice. Other species who had once mocked humanity now grew uneasy. In spaceports and trade hubs, aliens whispered to one another, "The humans are fighting back." They don't stop. Every day they grow stronger. Some remembered the Council's words and quietly withdrew from Valtor alliances. Others stayed silent, unwilling to get involved but unwilling to risk angering humanity. On Earth, families watched the skies. Factories worked day and night to build ships. Civilians donated supplies and volunteered for dangerous missions. The human spirit was burning brighter than ever. They knew the Valtor Empire was vast, but they also knew one truth: if they gave up, they would be destroyed. So they refused to give up. In the Galactic Council, the Elder Chair spoke again. "We warned you," it told the chamber. "Humanity is not like others. Already they adapt. Already they unify. If the Valtor continue, they will awaken a storm they cannot control." Still, the Valtor laughed. They saw their victories, counted their conquests, and believed the humans would eventually fall. But beneath their arrogance, cracks were forming. Fleets that once returned home victorious now limped back damaged. Soldiers who expected easy triumph returned scarred. And behind every battle, the humans grew stronger. For the first time in centuries, the Valtor Empire faced an enemy that did not shrink in fear. An enemy that did not surrender. An enemy that learned faster than they could destroy. The humans were responding. And the galaxy was beginning to remember why the Council's warning had always been so clear. Word count 1010. The Valtor Armada reached Earth. Hundreds of warships cast shadows over the blue planet, their black hulls glowing with weapon fire. From orbit, Earth looked fragile, a small world compared to the power of the Empire. The Valtor Chancellor, watching from his flagship, smiled with pride. To him, this was the end of humanity's defiance, but on Earth there was no panic. For months, humans had prepared. Cities were covered with defense grids. Satellites bristled with cannons, and hidden stations orbited in silence, waiting for the signal. Entire continents had turned their industries into war machines. Every citizen knew the risk, but every citizen was ready. Humanity had chosen not surrender, but survival. When the Valtor ships opened fire, Earth's defenses lit up the skies. Missiles streaked upward. Laser turrets cut through the dark, and hidden cannons beneath oceans and mountains roared. The battle for Earth had begun. At first, the Valtor pressed forward with confidence. Their shields held against missile strikes. Their cannons blasted human stations into fire. But then strange things started happening. Valtor ships lost power as human hacking programs infected their systems. Entire squadrons drifted helplessly before being swarmed by smaller, faster human craft. The Valtor commanders were confused. They had studied human technology and believed it to be primitive. But in secret, humanity had been building new weapons, hybrids of human design and stolen. Valtor tech, one of these weapons, was the Mirror Fleet. These were human warships coated in reflective alloys that bent sensors and scrambled targeting. Valtor ships fired into empty space, striking only decoys, while real human ships slipped behind them for deadly strikes. Another surprise was the StormNet. Human engineers had released thousands of small satellites into orbit. At the right moment, they activated, creating a massive electromagnetic web that disrupted Valtor shields. Suddenly, Valtor ships that had been untouchable were open to attack. Still, the Valtor pressed on. Their numbers were vast, and they believed time would crush the humans. They sent ground forces to land on Earth's surface, expecting easy conquest. Instead, their soldiers walked into chaos. Human troops fought not with strength, but with creativity. They used the terrain of their own world, jungles, mountains, rivers, deserts, to trap and outmaneuver their enemies. In one jungle battle, human squads disappeared into the trees, striking from shadows, vanishing before the Valtor could react. In a snowy mountain pass, humans triggered avalanches that buried entire columns of enemy walkers. For every human city the Valtor tried to capture, they faced brutal resistance. Entire neighborhoods turned into fortresses. Civilians fought beside soldiers, showing a unity the Valtor could not understand. As days turned to weeks, the Valtor fleet began to suffer. Supplies grew short. Morale weakened. The humans, on the other hand, grew stronger. Every battle gave them new lessons, and every loss fueled their determination. Then came the turning point. Human commanders revealed their final plan, Operation Eclipse. The Valtor fleet had been lured into the gravity well of a dying star near the Sol system. Humans had sacrificed colonies, fleets, and lives to pull the enemy into this trap. Now, with the Valtor surrounded by the star's unstable energy, Humanity struck with everything they had. Human ships dived into the battlefield like hunters, releasing swarms of drones and missiles. The StormNet satellites lit the void with crackling waves, disabling Valtor's shields. Mirror fleet vessels struck from behind, ripping apart the enemy's largest cruisers. Even damaged human ships refused to retreat. Some overloaded their engines and rammed Valtor flagships, creating explosions that shattered entire squadrons. The Valtor Chancellor watched in disbelief as his proud armada crumbled. His voice shook with rage as he shouted at his commanders, "Hold your lines! Crush them! They are only humans." But no one listened. The Valtor fleet was falling apart. Ships collided, crews abandoned their stations, and the humans pressed harder. In the chaos, the dying star began to collapse. A wave of energy tore through space, and dozens of Valtor vessels were caught in the blast. The Chancellor's flagship barely escaped destruction. When the smoke cleared, humanity stood victorious. The Valtor fleet, once feared, was nothing but wreckage scattered across the void. News of the battle spread across the galaxy. For the first time in generations, an empire had been broken not by numbers, not by technology, but by the will of a species that refused to surrender. The Galactic Council gathered once more. This time, the Valtor Chancellor did not stand tall. He came in silence, his scales dull, his voice heavy with defeat. In front of the entire chamber, he admitted his mistake. "We did not listen," he said. "We thought them weak. We thought them foolish. But humans, they are something else. They are not prey. They are not fragile. They are fire." The Elder Chair's crystal body glowed with calm light. "This is why we warned you. Humanity is not a myth. They are not a story to frighten children. They are a truth the galaxy must remember." From that day on, no one dismissed humans again. Some feared them, some respected them, but all acknowledged them. Humans had earned their place, not through wealth or size or ancient legacy, but through resilience, unity, and the simple refusal to fall. On Earth, people rebuilt their cities and honored their fallen. They did not see themselves as conquerors, but as survivors. Yet across the stars, the message was clear. Do not mistake their kindness for weakness. Do not mistake their fragility for defeat. For when humanity is tested, they rise, and the galaxy at last listened.